So picture a place where the air is so thin you literally can't survive, where the wind hits you so hard it feels like a physical force. Yeah, today we're going to the very roof of the world to get to know the living, breathing legend that is Mount Everest. Look, we all know Everest is big, right? But the sheer scale of it is almost impossible for our brains to really wrap around. And here's the thing, this isn't just some static rock on a map. It's a force of nature, a geological event that's still happening right now. And there it is, the number that defines the top of our planet, 29,032 feet. To put that into perspective, that's higher than where most commercial jets cruise. It is, quite simply, the highest you can get on Earth above sea level, a place that truly touches the sky.
But what's absolutely wild is that this giant isn't done growing. Nope, deep under the ground, the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates are locked in this super slow-motion collision, and that collision is pushing Everest up by about 4 millimeters every single year. So it's a mountain that is actively, relentlessly reaching even higher.
Okay, a mountain that's still growing is incredible stuff, but Everest is so much more than its height. For the people who've lived in its shadow for centuries, it has a soul. And you can really feel that soul in the powerful names they gave it, long before the rest of the world even called it Everest. I mean, just listen to how these names capture that reverence. In Nepal, it's known as Sagar Matha. In Tibet, it's Chomolungma. These aren't just labels, you know? They're poetry, goddess of the sky, mother of the world. It transforms this colossal piece of rock into a sacred living being that's watching over all of us. And of course, wherever you find a sacred, seemingly unconquerable place, you're also going to find human ambition, that relentless drive we have to push the absolute limits of what we think is even possible. And this next part of the story, it's all about that. Human audacity at its absolute peak. Just think about that for a second. Is it even possible to land a helicopter on that tiny, frozen peak? You've got winds that are basically hurricane force, and maybe most importantly, the air is so thin that the helicopter's rotor blades have almost nothing to bite into to create lift. On paper, it just shouldn't work. It sounds like something out of a movie. But it wasn't a movie. In May of 2005, a test pilot pushed his machine and his own skill right to the edge of what's possible. He flew that helicopter all the way to the summit and actually touched its skids down on the top of the world. It was one of the most incredible and dangerous feats in the entire history of aviation. Just amazing. But you know, for every one of those stories of impossible triumph, there is a much, much darker side to Everest. The quest for glory on this mountain often comes face to face with a grim and very permanent reality. It's a place that does not forgive mistakes, and it holds on to its secrets. This number, it's just staggering and really, really sobering. Over 300. That's the estimated number of climbers whose bodies are still on Everest. People who went chasing an extraordinary dream, but just never came back down. So you have to ask why. Why are they still there? Well, this quote explains the chilling reason. High up on the mountain, in the thin air of what they call the death zone, the risks to any rescue or recovery team are just too high. The mountain that represents the ultimate challenge, too often, it becomes a final resting place. So all of this, it brings us to the choice that Everest puts in front of modern adventurers. For anyone who feels its pull, there are really two fundamentally different journeys you can take on this legendary peak. There's the achievable dream, and then there's the life or death gamble for the top. On one hand, you've got the trek to base camp. It's an incredible, life-changing adventure that's actually accessible to a lot of people. It's a journey through these stunning landscapes and amazing cultures. But on the other hand, you have the summit climb, and that is a whole other world. It's a brutal, high-stakes fight through the death zone, a legendary feat that very, very few will ever accomplish. And so, that leaves us with one final question for you. Knowing the incredible beauty and knowing the profound danger, seeing the glory and the tragedy side by side, would you brave the death zone for just a single moment on top of the world? Is that moment worth the ultimate risk?